Hello jugglers, Steve here. Today I'm going to teach you a bunch of really cool 4-2-3 variations. Now most of these patterns will involve under the wrist catches and under the wrist throws, so it's important that you are comfortable with Mills mess and several other patterns that are similar to that. Also, since all of these patterns are based on 4-2-3, it's important that you are comfortable with doing the 4-2-3 and also with the twos being active. So the twos are small throws back to the same hand. The tricks I'll show you in this video aren't necessarily beginner tricks. However, any decent 3-ball juggler should be able to learn these tricks with a little bit of time and practice. The first pattern I'm going to show you is quite simple. It's a 4-2-3 with the twos thrown from here and caught under the opposite wrist, like that. So the pattern looks like this: 4-2-3, 4-2-3, 4-2-3, 4-2-3. And if you can't do that straight away, one good exercise to help you work your way up to that is with 2 balls, just practice the 4-2 part. So you throw 4 and then the 2 caught under the opposite wrist. One thing that might help give you more time to make that catch of the 2 is, instead of throwing it as 4-2, try it a little closer together, almost synchronous. So instead of 4-2, 4-2, 4-2, 4-2. That gives you a little bit more time to catch the 2 before that 4 comes back down. So try it with 3 balls now. Start from a cascade if you like, and practice just one side at a time. 4-2-3, 4-2-3, 4-2-3, and the other side. 4-2-3, 4-2-3, 4-2-3. Now all together, and it should look like this. I think this pattern looks good if you do it as low and fast as possible. The next pattern is almost the same thing, but instead of throwing the twos and catching them under your wrist, you're going to throw them under your wrist and catch them over here, like that. So the pattern would look like this. Very similar to the last pattern. Same thing as last time. Start with just 2 balls if you're having trouble, and practice just the 4-2 part. So 4 and then the 2 under and around the wrist. And remember, it's a 2, so it can't be a regular under the wrist throw. It's got to be a really fast throw back to the same hand. Practice that on both sides. Work your way up to 3 balls. Start from a cascade if you like, and practice just on one side for now until you can do it consistently, and then learn the other side. Oops. Alright, and then when you're comfortable with that, put it all together, and you have this crazy pattern. For the next few tricks, you'll need to learn how to do a cross-armed 4-2-3. So with your arms crossed, do the 4-2-3. And I hopefully don't need to explain this any further, but it's important that you learn it in both hand positions. So right now I had left over right, and you'll want to also learn it with the right over left. From a cross-armed 4-2-3, you will throw a 4 from your top hand, switch arm positions, and catch it as an under-the-wrist catch with the same hand. Once you do that, you will continue doing a cross-armed 4-2-3, but in the opposite arm position. So start with my left hand as the top hand, doing the cross-armed 4-2-3. When I throw that 4, and catch it as an under-the-wrist catch, I'm doing cross-arm 4-2-3 in the other arm position. Now we're going to do it from this position. My right hand is the top hand, going to throw a 4, switch, catch it under the wrist, and continue 4-2-3 cross-armed from the other position. Now practice that a lot on each side, and then once you're able to connect each side, you'll get this. So the 3 is always in the middle, and the 4s are always thrown from the top hand on the outside of the pattern and caught as an under the wrist catch. This next trick is almost identical to the previous trick. However, in this trick, the 3 does not stay in the middle. It does a tennis across the whole pattern. One way you might go about learning this is from the previous pattern. Watch the pink ball. It's the 3 that goes back and forth in the middle, and just gradually get it to tennis back and forth across the top of the pattern. This might be a little bit trickier than the first version I showed you, so you want to make sure that you're really comfortable with the first version before you try to learn this one. An easier transition to get into that trick would be from a cascade. You'll want to throw a 4 across your body. It looks like a 3, but you catch it over here at the last minute with the same hand, so it's actually the 4. And then you're going to hold the 2, and then you're going to throw a 3 from over here, and that should set you up to go right into that pattern. So I'll demonstrate. 4, 2, 3, and then you're right into that pattern. One more time in slow motion from a cascade. 4, 2, 3. And right into the pattern. The last trick I'm going to show you is probably one of my favorite 4-2-3 variations. It is also based on the cross-armed 4-2-3. Now this time, from the cross-armed 4-2-3, you will do a 4 as the under the wrist throw, and then the 2 becomes what I like to call a wrist drop. So it's a very small active 2 throw from the top hand, and then you quickly uncross your arms the other way and catch it with what is now the bottom hand. And then you will continue doing the cross-arm 4-2-3 in the other hand position. So start with your cross-arm 4-2-3, going to make an under the wrist 4 with my left hand, wrist drop with my right hand, and then continue the 4-2-3 in the opposite arm position. And that would look like that. Alright, and of course be sure to learn that from the other side. So under the wrist 4, wrist drop, and continue the cross-armed 4-2-3. Now, learn that very well on both sides, and then eventually link it together so that you have a continuous pattern. And that's going to look something like this. I hope you found this video helpful, and until next time, happy juggling!